18 years old, like I was doing investigations and writing procedures and safe work instructions for things I had no idea about. And it just didn't feel right to me. So that's why I was like, I need to go underground. I am a third or fourth generation miner. I lived in a residential mining town in New South Wales. So it was quite easy for me to get into mining to start with. But once I went underground, like I loved it. You know what, why can't we have a community where we're all just help each other, right? So I started Chicks in Mining. I started off with a logo, the first logo. Yeah, it's been great. And now we have like all these different logos. We have all this different merch now. Just dropped the underground crib bags, right? I only had 25 sold out and insane. It's just so important to me to give the time that I have back into this community, right? Because I didn't have that coming up the ranks. And I love the feeling of being a big sister to all these women. And some women are, you know, there's from all ages, from 18 all the way up. Like some lady posted on there, you know, I'm 60, like, am I too old for mining? And everyone's like, no, girl, like, you get it. Get in there and have a crack.
Welcome to the Beers with a Miner podcast. My name is Mad Mumzie and I've been driving the huge dump trucks in Australian open cut mines for over 10 years now. I wish I had $1 for everyone who said to me, how does a little thing like you drive those big trucks? Oh, you must be rich. How do I get a job doing that? My mining friends are asked these questions all the time too. This is what started the Mad Mumzie journey to share stories and tips from living a mining lifestyle and to let others know what it's really like. Tune in each episode as I sit down for a relaxed chat, usually over a few beers, with a fellow miner. Women and blokes with various experience, roles and opinions share their lessons and stories with you. Not everyone is cut out to be a miner, but why not? What does it take to thrive and survive in this industry? Now, let's dig in. Get it? Dig. Mining. Crack me up. Hello and welcome to episode 95 of the Beers with a Miner podcast. We are inching closer to that magic 100. We're getting there slowly but surely. I am Mad Mumzie and this is another happy hour episode. And in this episode, I sit down for a chat with Georgia Wilson from Chicks in Mining. She is the legendary founder, CEO, and awesome woman that reached out to me on Instagram quite a few years ago now, asking if her hairband, I'm pretty sure it was, if I thought it was a good idea. I'm like, hell yeah, go for it, girl. That comes up in the episode about how we finally, after all these years, have got together on the podcast. But more importantly, we hear Georgia's story. Why did she start Chicks in Mining, which is a support network and group, if you like, for women in mining, and also the merch that goes around it. You must have seen it. If you're out in Crib Hearts and at camp, you'll see it. The logo's amazing. To check it out now, have a look. If you're listening on an app, you can, at the risk of losing you because you go down a rabbit hole, but you can do this while you're still listening to a podcast, which is why we love podcasting. You can look at the show notes, so all the writing, and there will be links in there. There should be if you're on a decent enough app. And you can click on that and keep listening, and you can go to the show notes page where you can see more. You can see the links that I've shared with you in there. So, digressing. I will keep this short because this is a long episode. But again, beauty of podcasting. You don't have to sit down and not do anything. We're all bloody busy, right? We got shit to do. So hurry up, Mad Mumzie. But seriously, though, you can be at the gym. I don't know who does that anymore. Not me. Going for a walk, shopping, driving, in your truck, on a plane. You can be actively doing something else whilst listening. So there's no excuses. Why? Oh, we can't listen to that. It's too long. And also, if you do have to stop and go to work or, you know, do something, just hit pause, and when you come back, it will be in the same place. And if you haven't got a podcast app, just search it on your phone. podcast and up will pop, whatever app they have for you. And also you can listen directly on my website, madmumzie.com/beers95, push play, or on my YouTube channel, right? I keep forgetting I got one of those. Alrighty, this episode, I can't believe how much we dig in. Get it? Dig, mining. How much we dig into Georgia's story. And she started as a whippersnapper, the youngest age that you can be to work on a mine site, 18 years old, and started in the safety space, but soon realised that to get respect as a safety weirdo, as my sister, Hard Hat Mentor, calls them all, which she endearingly has been herself, to be a respected person in the safety industry where people actually take notice and listen, you need to have done the shit as well. So that's what Georgia decided to do early in her career, and it took her on many journeys. So I'm not going to spoiler alert, Mumzie, don't tell us, because listen to the story unfold along with me, right? That's my interview style. And it's a bit hard if I know the person, but I don't like to know everything about them. I don't listen to them on another podcast first or anything. I ask my questions my way, and let's see what this person has done and how they got to where they are. So let's dig into the episode right now. You know I'm going to say it right. Dig, get it? I crack me up still after 95 episodes. Everyone else is just like, oh my God, she's a weirdo. But I think every industry and every space needs their weirdo. And that might just be Mad Mumzie. And I'm choosing to own it. That is my point of difference. All right, let's listen to another weirdo. No. It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, and we really resonated with each other and had a good time. And yes, we went long. I'll talk to you at the end, and hang in there. You can do this. And I bet you it feels like 20 minutes, not 2 hours. Okay. Love to see you. Bye. Welcome to the podcast, Georgia Wilson. By the time this goes live, I've shared how freaking awesome you are in the intro to my listeners. We've been going to catch up for so long, right? But it just hasn't unfolded. And even last week, I said, I forgot. We both missed the 12th. We had a bit of a plan for last Friday. I'm like, shit, it's already the 12th. Oh, no, I'm such a bad person. And then I messaged you. And you said, oh, I forgot all about it too. So,
I was literally sitting at the airport, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot as well.
And I felt better, I must say. I was like, oh, phew, thank you. We both forgot. So we've made it happen finally, and I'm looking forward to digging into this episode. Get it? Dig, mining.
Love it.
I crack me up. So, Georgia, as this podcast is called the Beers with a Miner podcast, I like to start these happy hour episodes with my guests sharing their favourite beverage and also their favourite time to enjoy it. It could be beer, wine, spirit, or perhaps even a cup of tea. What is yours?
Well, I'm definitely not a big drinker, but my go-to drink is either a gin and like solo or just a northern. I'm very basic.
A northern, so that for the people that don't know, that's a beer, Great Northern. Yes. And are you Great Northern Original, Crisp, or Zero?
I'm original. Always go the original.
Original?
Yeah.
I can't do that. I just get so drunk on original.
That's like me. Like when I'm on site, that's my go-to northern, right? Because I know over west. Are you over west? Or are you Queensland?
No, I'm in Queensland. I'm up Mackay way, so Bowen Basin.
Right,
yeah.
Okay. So like on site generally it's a northern, right? And I get so like two cans, I'm tipsy.
Yeah. But you know your limit, so you zero the next day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now, before we get into what you actually do in mining, I do also have to bring up a little thing that happened last night. So I'm watching the football and we were messaging we were just nailing down our time and everything for today. And I'm over at Mum's and it's my other dad, Mad Baz, who's been on the podcast. It was his birthday. So we're over there, half cut. And it was a really close game. And I messaged a mate down in Victoria who is an Essendon supporter. So it's AFL and the Adelaide Crows were playing Essendon. It was real close. We'd caught up. And I sent him a message on Messenger that said, "Game on, Mole." And then I realised I'd sent it to you. And I'm sitting next to my mum and I said, "Oh, crap. I've just sent that to the lady that I'm interviewing tomorrow on the podcast." And she's like, "Leanne, that's so bad." And I'm like, "Oh, no." And I messaged you straight away and said, "Oh, whoops, sorry. That was for my footy, mate." And do you remember what you replied back to me?
I can't remember exactly. I think I just put a laughing face, but it just made me laugh because I knew straight away. I was like, "Oh, this is a message for someone else." But it made me laugh because between my sister and my mum, we all call each other Mole. I think it comes from Kath and Kim. I don't know, but it's just always been a thing. Like, my sister would be like, answer the phone, "What's going on, Mole?" Like, it's just, I don't know. So it made me laugh, made me feel homey.
Yeah. Oh, that was so good. And that's what you replied. You said, "Oh, that's hilarious." I say that to my sister. We say that like quite a few times a day. So I'd messaged, my daughter messaged me in between all of this and I told her what happened. And she thought it was hilarious. And then when I told her what you'd said about you and your sister, she's like, "Oh, she sounds amazing," so it was so good. Anyway, this morning I had to Google it because I wanted to make sure that it's not offensive to anything and where the hell did it come from and apparently originally it came from the movie Puberty Blues, which is before your time, right? And it used to be spelled Moll, Moll, but over time it has evolved to Mole.
Right.
And
I love Puberty Blues.
But I think Kath and Kim and some of the other comedy people have picked it up as well. Yeah. So I felt a lot better that I haven't offended anyone. If you're offended by it, game on, Mole, bring it on. Send me a message. Oh, dear. All right, Georgia, why don't you tell us what you do in mining?
What I currently do, so I'm in the safety space. Yeah, that's only been the last 3 years. Before that, I spent 6 years as an operator in underground mining.
Oh, so you're a real miner.
Yes.
You were. Yeah, oh my God. They bloody hell, they keep coming at me, mate. I didn't know you were a real miner.
My favourite thing is in like when I'm going into like a investigation or I'm talking to people on site and they're just like, "Oh, you're just a safety squeezer. Oh, you're just a pen pusher." And I'm like, I'm actually a shot firer, mate. Like I've been through it. And that's exactly why I did my time, because when I first started off in mining, I was 18, fresh out of school. I was in the safety department for about 6 months before I went underground, and we had like this comms days where where management deliver like training, things like that to like the underground crews. So I went there to like offside the safety manager at the time, and he stood up and he just got absolutely roasted. Like the things that the crews were saying to him, like it was just so insane because the crews knew he had never been not that he'd never been underground, but he'd never done his operating time. He came from like a finance background to the safety space. So I just like then and there decided I need to get my ass on the ground and do my time. And it's been so beneficial to me now in management. So I definitely wouldn't change that.
I love that because you consciously decided to do that because you knew that that would give you respect moving forward in your career in safety, which is obviously your passion. But to stick at it for 6 years,
Yeah, well,
that's a fair bit. And yeah, shot firer. I haven't had a shot firer on.
yeah. So the thing was,
Cool. Not an underground shot firer, especially.
18 years old, like I was doing investigations and writing procedures and safe work instructions for things I had no idea about. And it just didn't feel right to me. So that's why I was like, I need to go underground. I am a third or fourth generation miner. So I lived in a residential mining town in New South Wales. So it was quite easy for me to get into mining to start with. But once I went underground, like I loved it. Especially once I got to that shot fire position, like there was not anything that I wouldn't want to blow up underground. Like it was just some of the best times of my life, and the worst was in the space of me being a shot firer.
So you obviously didn't start off as a shot firer.
No. So
underground. How did that journey progress?
Yeah, so okay. So I started off. So once I decided I need to go underground, I went under as a underground truck driver, and it was so challenging. Like this mine was so shit. Oh my god! And anyone that knows me is going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's like, you know, you're underground for the whole shift. You don't come to surface. So the underground crusher is obviously underground, so it's just down the bottom, up to the crusher, down the bottom, up, repetitive. So I did that. I reckon I did truck driving for like 2 or 3 years. But between that, I sort of stepped out of that. Like I filled in for like mine control, so like pit ram. I then got
I'll just interrupt there. That is also because I've worked with pit ram and mine control, different software systems for dispatch, pretty much. So the people that are running everything, all the computer systems in your truck, and tell you where to go, when to have a piss, and when to have crib, and when you can knock off, and
literally,
yeah, right. So pit ram, I forgot about pit ram. That was one of the early ones, and then they changed to mine control at one of the band camps I was at. Yeah. So you stepped into that for a little bit?
No, so I was still like full-time truck driving, but it was so this is where probably the toughest times of my mining career, just career progression and the whole being a female, like the disadvantages I had was at this mine. So I never got a pay rise, I didn't step out of that truck role. Like I was just like pulled from here to there just to fill in for these roles. So I did mine control for like when we had people off, or they put a lot of women in there that were pregnant and things like that. So then I got offered an opportunity by one of the mining superintendents come and saw me, and he was just like, you know, you've been so helpful. I want to give you a start in development service crew. So I was like, yep, amazing. Like, let's do this. Like I knew that it was going to be so hard, right? I knew it. So I stepped into a development, still at the same mine, development service crew, and I reckon I only did that for like 2 or 3 months. However, before that, I was still, when I was on the truck, like would have days where our truck was out, so they would chuck you a service crew. So you learn the basics, but this is where I really learned how to, you know, run the services, fix pumps, things like that underground. So stepped into that, but at that time the mine was transitioning. Yeah.
Mad Mumzie has her hand up. Because I know some of my listeners will be
sorry. Yeah.
Service crew. No, that's all right. Service crew, what does that involve? Is that like refueling and greasing the machines and like all the hydraulics and
no? So do you come from coal? Is your background in coal?
Well, I started in gold and copper, but yeah, coal for the last 10 years. Yeah, open cut. Never been underground, never will, never.
Right,
talk to people who do it.
So one service crew is pretty much, so generally like a 2-3 man crew. You're working with like a IT, like a Volvo, so it puts you up in a basket. And basically you look after extending the services underground. So your pump lines, your air services, your water services, things like that. So as the mine's developing, service crew are there extending, repairing when the trucks hit things, running your vent back.
They wouldn't do that. Trucks wouldn't hit things.
But anyway, so that was service crew. And it was as well like plating and jacking cables for the K-bolter, pull testing, so testing the plate, like the bolts and the plates for the integrity of the ground, that sort of stuff. So pretty.
And do you have that for the roof bolts as well?
Yeah.
See, I know about roof bolts.
Yeah. So so I'm currently working in coal. So there's a few similar names, but it is very different worlds. But service crew, I've always said it's such a thankless job, and it's one of the hottest jobs in the mine because you're always working, away from the vent repairing it. So some of the conditions are like extreme. But I that was my sort of first step into development, because we had like a production, then we had development operations, right? So from here, the mine went into owner.
I just want to say that I have heard, I've had some people on my podcast who have mentioned it, and way back, like 4 years ago probably, so it's come back to me. But that is a very important role.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if it doesn't get done, people die.
Absolutely.
Or could die, and the mine shuts down, stop production because they've not got enough oxygen, the vents aren't working, the pumps aren't working, you got to get the water out, you got to do all the things. It's a very important job. So to hear you say that it was also seen as a bit of a thankless job is a bit shit.
Yeah, it is. And you definitely can see that. You see people not giving a shit underground, and that's why it's so important. I feel like now in a management role, like I'm so all for giving like thank yous, like, and really acknowledging crews. Now I'm in the position to do it, like really acknowledging crews' performance underground, because once, if you don't, why the hell do they want to go under there and, make a difference? So to me, giving them that thank you keeps them engaged, keeps them wanting to do good, and being like, fuck, you know what? Yeah, look, we had a red hot crack yesterday, and it's really been looked at and appreciated. So
it's the little things.
It is.
It's the bloody little things. It's not just, we might get a T-shirt and an esky or something at Christmas and maybe a bonus. It's all the way along. It's every little day, every little step to get noticed when you're doing the right things, not just hammered and noticed when shit goes to shit, which is what usually happens.
It sets a good culture, There's nothing more important at a mine site than a culture. And it definitely does set a good culture when you have good managers. So from here, the mine that I was at went owner operator. So I was in the development crew, right? So we had a few jumbo operators, the service crew, the shop firers, and then like all the trucks and the loaders, they were all production, right? So they were on the other crew. So I was the only person. There was one shop firer who was stepping into like he was going into like a shift boss role on another crew. So I was the only one that had my like UHL. So they're like, okay, you're going to have to do shop fires. And I was like, fuck, good timing, right?
What is UHL?
So UHL is just your New South Wales explosives handling license. So it's just to say you can transport explosives unsupervised. So from there, so once you get your UHL, like in Queensland, it's your dangerous goods card. So you get your dangerous goods cards, and then from there you do your shop firers course. So did my shop firers course, but that was sort of not later on, the next month or two, but because I had my UHL, I was allowed to charge underground. So I went with the shop firer. Luckily, we were mates. He took me down to my first heading that we had to charge. So jumbo goes in, right? They put all the ground support up, then they bore. So then we roll in, and I'm like, oh my God, because I'd done the magazine, right, which is booking out the explosives. So I knew what explosives looked like, but I did not know how the hell they worked, right? So we roll up to this heading. He's like, get in the basket. It's hot as fuck. Like, I had sweat in my butt crack. I had sweat, tit sweat. It was just like, it was hot. And because it wasn't like as hot, but because I wasn't acclimatized, then I was just like, holy shit, you know? And it's actually proven that females do tend to heat up a lot quicker. So especially around that like certain part of the month. But yeah, so anyways, we roll up. He showed me sort of how to use the rig because you use a charge rig, so it holds all the emulsion. So you've got the emulsion in the tank, you've got gas out, and once that's mixed, it becomes an explosive. So, you know, you put your dead on the end with your booster, put it into the hole, the emulsion shoots through, right? So he showed me how to do it. He did the heading with me, but we had 6 on for the day, right? So did the heading with me, put into the next one, and he was sitting in the ute, and I was like, oh, fuck, brother, he must want me to like prime all the debts and whatever. So anyways, I got out and I'm getting ready and stuff, and I got my harness on, and I thought I was doing the right thing. I grabbed his harness. I was like, here you go, mate. Like, let's go get into it. He's like, nah, up you get. You're on your own now. I've shown you once. That's it. So threw me
Once.
and yeah.
Holy, no fucking pressure.
It was the best. It was the best way to learn, you know. So
yeah.
From there,
but he was still there with you.
Yeah, he was still there. He was still on. He was still in the ute watching from the aircon cab for sure.
Yeah, he's not silly.
Yeah, yeah. So I did that. I stayed at that site charging for like a year and a half, and then from there I went through. Well, I had a boyfriend at the time. During my residential time, we had a pretty bad breakup, so I was just like, I just need to get out. Like, my siblings had moved out of this town, my parents had moved out. I was like, you know, my mental state wasn't great, and that's a big thing, you know, especially working underground. Like, you're underground for so long. He was also underground at the time, right? So he was still working there, so it was just shit. Like, it was just not and because the town was so...
Was he on your crew?
Yes.
Was he on
my crew? Different department though, so he was fitter. But working, you know, at a residential mine, the town itself was so small, so all the drama and shit from the town went to the mine. All the drama and shit from the mine went to the town. So I was just like, you know what? I'm getting out of here. Like, I'm young. I'm never going to be this young and hot, and now I've got my shot fire ticket. Like, I'm out of here and I'm starting fire.
Yeah, look out, world. Hang on a minute. I'm going to open a can of beer to that. I got my shot fire ticket. I'm young. I'm hot. I'm fucking out of here. I'm out of this.
I was like, I'm never going to be this young and hot again. Like, I'm fucking dipping. Like, I'm going to start my career. So I got in touch with a guy through a mutual friend, and he was actually an operations manager for a big mining company over in Western Australia. I sort of told him my background and stuff. We had a few conversations, and he was just like, you know what, like, I really want to give you a start. He knew where I wanted to progress, because I also, during this time, I was doing a bachelor's degree at uni. So he knew, you know, that where I wanted to go, sort of thing. So I was doing my bachelor's.
What were you doing a bachelor's in?
So I did my bachelor's in business. So I minored in human resources and majored in occupational health and safety. And then on top of that, I did my Cert 4 in training assessing and my diploma in project management. And now I'm doing my master's in OH.
Fucking, you're a bloody machine woman.
And then I'm doing a graduate certificate in mining engineering now during my master's. So anyways, he knew that I wanted to go places, and he saw something in me. And that was the first time that a boss had actually, you know, made me feel like they cared. Because I've seen so many bosses. I've had so many, like, I've never had like a good mentor, and he was my first mentor, right? With no motives behind it. Like, he was just like, yeah, the fucking girls, like, let's get more shot firers. So he was flying me from New South Wales over to Perth, over to WA. So I was charging at a site for them. And that was a really good experience. It was my first taste of the FIFO life. So it was different.
Yes, because you were residential up till then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big call. That's not just like driving for 2 hours out to, like for us lot here in Mackay, out to the Bowen Basin, or jumping on a plane from Brisbane up to Murray or somewhere. You're going from New South Wales to Perth and then up to site as well. How far was it from Perth?
Oh,
You don't have to say where it was or anything, but like in hours on a plane.
I think it was about 2 hours, but it seemed like nothing because the flight from friggin' Sydney to Perth was like 5-6 hours. Like, it was shit. And I had to fly the night before, so then I stayed overnight at Perth airport, got up, and then went to site. So,
and that really shortens your roster too, doesn't it? So what roster were you on when you were doing that?
I was doing a 2 and 2. So I'd fly the day before, and then when I was coming back, the flight would land like, I think it was like 12 or like, no, actually maybe it was like 2 or 3, but then I was on a red eye back to Sydney. So I was at the airport.
Yeah.
6 hours. So it was hectic, and I did that for just under 12 months, but that was a whole experience itself, you know. Like, I just rolled up to this mine, the only female shot firer that ever had, or, you know, the only female that wasn't in an entry level position. Oh, they had one chick. She was on a drill. She was on a solo. She was cool, but it was a big thing, you know. Like, the people there were nice.
Wow. And so it was. Sorry, hand up again. So you'd only done coal in New South Wales?
No, always hard rock. Yeah, no, this is hard rock. So hard rock back.
Yeah, but were you doing hard rock in New South Wales as well?
Yeah.
You were? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so at this point only
coal to hard rock, that's a big change.
No, yeah. So it was only hard rock. So hard rock back home, hard rock.
I will just say, we'll talk after about where you were in New South Wales, because it might be where I started.
Ooh.
Well, actually, we can edit. Let's do it now. Now for a word from our sponsor, Julia Hartman and the Bantax Accounting Group. If you head to bantax.com.au/miners, that's BANTACS, you can download a free booklet, all just for us miners. And there's also a spreadsheet in there that helps you check off what tools you have for your trade, like your isolation lock, work boots, 7 shirts, all of these sorts of things, and you can weigh them up and it'll tell you if you qualify weight-wise to claim your trips out to work. I strongly urge you to head to bantax.com.au/miners and tell them Mad Mumzie sent you. You were in gold/copper, because wherever there's gold, there's copper, right? Mine. And then you went to another one over in WA.
Yeah.
So you didn't go, because there's a lot of coal in New South Wales as well, which is where my brain was going.
Yeah. The experience there was good though, because at my previous site, because I had started there from the start, there was a lot of shit talking, like people didn't think I deserved to go, you know, to get the position as the shot flyer. But at the end of the day, who the hell is going to turn it down? I'm not going to say, oh no, I think I can't do it because old mate, he's been here longer than me. Like, I was given the opportunity and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to give a shit what people say. And people were horrible, and it was mainly men, you know. But actually, in saying that, it was females as well. And that's why at my previous site, I hooked in. Like, I was, and the boys, like my jumbo operators, they didn't treat me any different. Like, you know, if they were pulling out of that heading, like, I was expected to be in there charging, and I did. You know, very rarely did I drop a cut, which means not charge a heading because of conditions. Like, there was things that I put my body through that was so dangerous in the heat just to prove myself. So once I went over west, I already, you know, I had a lot of experience charging. So, and I also, the mine I went to wasn't as high speed. So they did like, so I was charging. So back at my previous site, I was on this charging development, right, which is only like headings. So you have 4 to 6 headings. I mean, that's not even very high speed. But when I went over to west, it was like you charge a meant heading maybe 2, and then you had a stope on. So for production mines, the stope is generally a bigger charge, without going into details of what a stope is. But
I've heard that word. I think it's been spoken about on the podcast, but I can't remember what a stope
basically
is.
a big hole in the ground.
I know it's
big hole in the ground, and that's where they get their ore. The boggers dig that out. So, it was a little bit different, but because I went in there with the experience, I did get a lot more respect. But then I got a different sort of backlash because I was coming over from East Coast, so there was a little bit of like, you're like West Coast, like wow, they didn't really want people flying over from the East Coast, but it was a positive experience. Like I made some really good friends that I'm still in contact with. So it was good. And it was good for my mental health, like getting out of that relationship situation as well. And wasn't even like, I was going over there to get a new boyfriend. It was nothing like that. It was just, I just needed.
That's the last thing you want when you've been in a shit relationship.
That's it. When I went over there.
Well, me.
When I had boys sniffing, I was like, get away. All I want to do is I want.
Yeah. Fucking.
And that's it.
Well, I remember when I first started mining because our 22-year relationship broke down, and that's how I ended up there, which, long-time listeners, that story. And I just kept saying, I'm over men. I'm fucking over men. I'm fucking over men. And my mum says, well, you're going to be a lesbian. I'm like, no. And she said, well, don't give up on them forever. Like, well, and the L word, love, I called the L word for ages. I couldn't even fucking love you don't mean shit, Yeah, that's old wounds. All right now, I love everyone.
My family convinced I'm a lesbian as well because I'm just still on that career path. I've got no time. I got no time for men. No time for this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
that's it. And when one will pop in and it'll be the right time. The universe will deliver.
That's what I think, the right person will walk into my life and then I'll be right. So, but to me, like I was at this time, wanting to progress my career anyways. It ended up being, I was over there for about a year, and then I got called to go to another project over in Queensland. And this was interesting to me because all of my family, besides my mum and my stepdad, were over in Queensland. They're actually in Mackay. All my siblings.
No, fuck off. New family friends.
Yes.
No.
So, yeah, I went over. It was a new mobilisation of a project. So I went over there, and I stepped into a safety space then. So the project manager was really good. He was sort of like, he was happy to put me in a full-time safety and training position, even though I'd never been that. But I had the experience back.
You started as you started in that.
Yes.
But then chose. Now, hang on a minute. I need to have a bit of a crack underground, and and know what it's really like and what they're going through. So you're not one of those, as my sister calls it, safety weirdo, standing at the pre-start. Because my sister, hard hat mentor, is I think you probably know her. She is big in safety and culture leadership now.
Yeah.
And is all about culture of mines, and she coaches mine managers and shit, about what's going on your mine site. And she, I better not say too much, but yeah, she shadows people at their pre-start meeting, and she's like, because some of them, not just from her experience, but from my own experience, the crews will sitting there pre-start, and out come all the office people, like, oh, what's going on, and they've got their shirts on with their high-vis vest because they're out the office. Oh, look out. And they stand there and they're going to sprout off, and they'll introduce you to the latest new safety manager or superintendent or whatever they want to call them. Like, oh yeah, how long have they been at it? Especially if they're young, it always was a tough thing to accept that they knew what they were on about because most of them, they've just come out of university, like a lot of engineers and surveyors and stuff, telling us how to dig the pit. Yeah, get down there. You do that. It might work on paper, but don't work in that hole. I'm going on a tangent there. But I really respect you for choosing to go and get that experience, because that's what my sister's, is why she was already having the experience, not operator like machines, but other stuff. And she saw the lack of safety and the bullshit cultures, and that's what she kind of did the opposite. That's what inspired her to become involved in that space. But she's lived it as well, and so she gets that respect because she's not just someone out the office telling the crew, running a PowerPoint presentation workshop thing, because she knows her shit, and like you. Oh, I'm so proud. You're like a mini sister.
I love it. Well, yeah, that's exactly why I did it. And don't get me wrong, there was times where I was charging a stope and the engineers, some graduate engineer, I could tell, I probably saw him on Tinder, is telling me how to charge a stope. And I'm like, mate, why don't you come here, get in this basket and get a harness on and come and have a go, because the way you're telling us is impossible. So to me, it was so important to get that. And I needed that, because being a female in mining, it doesn't matter, you get that backlash anyway. So, I mean, a lot of times, I look quite young as well. So, a lot of when I turned up to WA, they were like, are you old enough to be here? And I'm like, man, I've been mining longer than you. Like, what are you talking about? But
so how long is it? How many years
it's
now?
Coming up. So I'm 28 now and I started at 18, so it'd be going on about 10 years.
10, yeah. So my sister started on her first mine site on her 18th birthday.
Yeah, wow.
And she's still there, and we're like way older than that. Yeah. Yeah, so that's 10 years, mate. That's 10 fucking years.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Sometimes, don't worry, I'm like, why didn't I become a school teacher or something? Anyways, I stuck it out, and then I went to this new site, and this is where I fell in love with safety. So we did the mobilisation of a project. So we did the project from start to finish. So we did all the groundwork before we brought the crews in, and set a culture. Like, I had a project manager there, and he was like unreal. And he let me run with the safety stuff. So like we put some music on in the morning, and we did stretches to music, and it was just it was a way to have a laugh. We did like a footy throwing contest for like 2 months. So we stood around in a circle, and you passed the ball, and you had to like clap before you caught it. And if you didn't, you got out. And then that, from there, each pre-start would keep doing that. And then the winner would go up in the Safety Sunday presentation that I gave, and then the winner got a prize. So they got like money from the company. So it was really good. It was like an unreal culture, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. And that's the moment I realized like I need to be in that sort of space. Like, I need to go into that leadership pathway. And that company, it was unreal. Like, the support from management, it was really good to start seeing some decent management. They put me through the Queensland Women in Mining and Mentoring program. So I think most states have this now. And this was like the best experience. Like, if I can say to anyone, like, go get onto this, right? So my company, they paid for it, which is great. I think it's about $2,000. So basically you're like a mentee. You do like an online, like a quiz. They do like a psychological thing where they like match you with someone. So I was matched with the amazing Sally Rayner. She's a global leader for Rio. And she was the first ever, besides the previous mentor I had, she is hands down the best mentor I've ever had. And through that program, like, she really helped me. So basically you get matched with a mentor and you work through things, like you do a career pathway, you do things that you struggle with. Like, so to me, networking wasn't really a great thing with me. Like, conflict, I needed to work on my, like, having conflict conversations, because often part of my being an operator, like, I can get very hot-headed. So when I get into that, like, it's very easy for me to just, like, go for the throat, like, so cutthroat. But as a leader, as a safety leader, I needed to learn to step back, be cool, calm, collected. And it was an absolutely amazing, like, mentoring experience. Like, in Sally, she only texted me this morning, like, we're lifelong friends now, and it was just such a great way to network with other women in mining. And then at that time as well, I had a really, really great superintendent. So I was a safety advisor. My superintendent, he's a lifelong friend as well. Like, he was the first, like, boss that just really cared about me, like, as a person, cared about my career. So he was great with my career. Like, he told me the things I need to work on. He would have my back, like, not like, even if I was in the wrong, like, he would have my back. But then behind closed doors, he would say, hey, you know, you were wrong, or this is how we should approach it. He was amazing. So the last 2 years of my mining experience have been by far the best. And then I sort of stepped in. I'm doing some work at the moment in coal.
Hang on. There's a train.
Oh, I can't even hear it.
Did you hear the train?
No.
You can't hear it? You know what that means? I need to go and get a beer.
Have a beer.
I do need to. Okay, so this is for my listeners. You ready? My favourite sound in the world. See, I drink beer out of a wine glass because I'm posh.
Posh.
Yeah, well, not really posh. I just I gave up red wine, but I missed the glass, you know.
Yeah, you gotta have a balance.
Yes, and I've lost 12 kilos just from doing that.
Amazing.
Well, I suppose. Yeah. Anyway, where were we at? You were just transitioned away from that amazing supervisor, or are you still with him?
No, so my time it ran its course at that site. I met some really great friends there, but I knew I needed to step out into, because I was still in that development contractor space. So where I wanted to get wasn't going to be with that company. Like, I adore that company. You know, I got a call from the general manager when I left of that company to thank me. The project manager, the board. Yeah, it was a really great. It really made me realize my passion in that safety and more psychological safety space. So, yeah, it was sad to leave, but for my own career, like, I needed to. Like, it wasn't a company that could take me into the, you know, into bigger mines. Like, I needed to get on with the client pretty much. And so I've been doing a bit of time in coal. Absolutely hate it. And that's only
why? Other than because it's dirty shit.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, it's interesting. Like, I definitely think there's aspects to coal in the underground coal operating space. It's a lot harder than hard rock mining, but it's just not what I'm used to, right? So my time underground and hard rock basically means nothing to coal, because it's different machinery, different ways. Like, if I was to, you know, the open cut shot fire stuff, yeah, I can relate to, but, you know, the underground mining type things in coal, it just doesn't align to underground mining and hard rock. It's been great working to getting a little look at that, but yeah, I definitely am a die-hard hard rock miner. And now...
And I have a lot of hard rock miner listeners, especially over in WA.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, yeah, stuff coal. Yeah, or fuck coal. Do you feel more, my perception of, because I've worked in both, but open cut, it feels more unstable. Is that
coal?
Because, yeah.
No, it's definitely, like, coal's obviously, underground coal is way dangerous. You know, you can't any naked flames under there. It's everything.
And the gases.
Gases, things like, water management, like you can't have power, you can't have kilowatt pumps down there, like just things like that. It's just a different, like the whole operation is different to Hard Rock. And it's funny because on site last week before I flew out, I was doing an investigation. I had a heap of coal miners, and just there's a different culture, different fun coal miners and Hard Rock. If you put them in a room together, you'd be able to tell who's who, right? So I was talking to some of the coal miners and I was telling them, they're like, oh my God, like Hard Rock, like what's it like? And I was telling them, and they're like, is it true you can smoke under there? I'm like, oh, well, over west, like there was a few sites you can like smoke underground. They're like, whoa, like that's insane. I was showing like some of my underground shot fire stuff, and they were just like, oh my, like even they were like, whoa, that's so different. But yeah, definitely coal is not where my mining career lies, but it's really interesting because there's a lot of women in the chicks and mining space that are from coal. So yeah.
Oh, that's a good segue.
And that's pretty much my mining career.
Oh, that's your mining career. And now let's talk chicks in mining. But before that, so what do you think you'll do next? Look at going back to the West, or because it's a long way? Have you ever thought about moving over there?
Well,
it's great. My sister lives in Mandurah. It's amazing. She sent me videos today. They're out on the boat and there's dolphins, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. So I mean, there is a boy that I met over there right during my time that wants me.
Oh.
But yeah, I don't really know, because I think every woman, at a younger age battles with the conflict. Like you go so hard, and to me, it's like I've gone so hard in mining. I've put myself through so much. I've been through so much bullshit to then get knocked up and give it away. So to me, there's one part of me that's like, Georgia, I'm 28. I want to have children by the time I'm 30. So I'm like, what am I going to do? But I've really come to terms with, like it was just a really ongoing battle in my head. Like, am I missing out on opportunities to become a mother? And especially now that my nephew has been born, he's 1. So I'm like, oh, I just want a kid. But then I'm like, I want to get as far as I can before, but I've really come at peace with the idea that, I don't have to give my career away. Like, my goal is to step into that manager space. So yeah, to me, I think I've come to peace with the fact that I will probably move to a area like, for example, whether it's over west or whether it's in Queensland like Gladstone or somewhere, and work at a residential mine so I can have the best of both worlds, have a family and still work. So I definitely, now that I'm maturing through that management stage, like sort of transitioning from, because when I was a safety advisor, I found it really hard to draw the line in the sand between being a safety person, like a somewhat junior safety, and being an operator. But now that I've sort of matured in my career into more higher level management roles, I've really come to peace with, that's my sort of game plan. Like I'm not ready to give up mining. I feel like I've got so much to offer, like whether it's my experience, but the one thing I really specialize with, especially in my HR degree, is people and culture. So I love bringing in a culture and tying it into safety, like doing little safety initiatives to really up that safety culture on site. So yeah, and chicks in mining has been an amazing way as well.
And I know we're getting to chicks in mining, and for people listening, what the fuck's chicks in mining? Well,
how don't you know what chicks in mining is?
Right. How don't you know? Exactly. But thank you for sharing all of that, because it's a big thing that women have to go through. It doesn't matter if it's mining or whatever career, about, am I ready to give it all? And that's what hit home when you were talking to me, was give it all up to have a kid. But if we can change the perception, and the more you talked, it sounded like that's not where you're at. Like, you know that you're not actually giving it all up
Had to change
to
my
have a kid.
mindset.
You can do both. Yeah, you just change your boots, right? You're a mum and a manager. Ooh, and I'm making it work. Ooh, look at me go. And I'm also mentoring and helping other chicks who are doing it as well, you know. So you can do it, and it was good to hear you come to that at the end of that.
Yeah, and it took a lot for me to get to there, you know. Like, I spent a long time in a shit relationship, and you know, if I had put all my effort that I put into that, I would have, you know, fuck knows where I'd be now. But I really ensure that I have these conversations with women on mine sites, and the big thing about going from an operator to a safety person or a person in management, when, you know, people have conversations with me, they can relate to me a lot, like, not just with women stuff, but, you know, in the sense of investigations and stuff, because I've been there, I've done that. I can tell you, lying. I know I've done the same thing. Like, I've been in this situation, you know. I'm no angel operator. Like, I've been stood down. Like, I will hardly say that, you know, it happens. And so I really, really try to relate to operators, and a big thing the last few years is women, because, you know, it breaks my heart hearing women say, like, you know, they don't have the, you know, say the education, or they don't have that certificate like I do, and they're not in the position that I am. And I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like, you can still be an operator and, you know, have children, you know. It just might not mean that you don't do FIFO. I've seen a lady do FIFO after being like 3 months after just having a kid. Like, you know, if you don't want to do FIFO, you can always, and that's what's so important, to get with a good company that will relocate you or give you those options. You know, you can move to a residential mine, put your kid in daycare, or you've got family support, but you shouldn't have to give up mining, give up your dreams just because, you know, we have to have kids, you know. And if you don't want to have kids, that's okay too. But yeah.
It is so okay too. Like, and that's right. It's just see what the universe does, you know. So let's talk now about your passion, your chicks in mining. I think after listening to this whole conversation, which we've actually been talking for an hour now, but it won't be, all of that won't be an hour. I've got to cut out like where I work at the start there. But a lot of this has led you to create a very special thing. Would you like to share that with us, and what prompted you to start doing it? Because it was so cool. And this is how long ago we started talking, when you were thinking about doing it.
Oh my God.
I remember you messaging me when you were thinking about doing it. Do you reckon this would be cool? I'm like, fuck yeah.
Oh my God.
So how long ago is that?
That's crazy. Well, I was talking to a girl the other day when I was on we're having a conversation about chicks in mining. She's like, you know, I saw her on site and she had a chicks in mining shirt on. I was like, oh my God, I love your shirt. And she's like, oh my God.
So you've given it away. It's merch.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So,
it's merch.
and she was like, oh my God, like, you're the founder? And I was like, what? I'm not the founder. But then I was like, wait, yeah, actually I am. But yeah, chicks in mining was a thing I started. So basically,
so hang on a minute. So that makes you the fucking founder.
Yeah.
If it's a thing you started.
I guess so, yeah. So I
don't guess so.
I do downplay. I don't know why I do. Like, it is really kicking off. It is popping off, chicks in mining. So I'll tell you the reason why I started, and that will probably make sense. So during my time when I started at mining, I was the only girl in my crew. I had no support. I had nothing. There was no girls, right? When girls sort of started coming through the ranks, it was a cat fight. There was bitches everywhere, but it was toxic.
Can get so bad.
And it's like, why aren't girls sticking together? Like, anyway, so then when I went over west, that's when I started making a few female friends. Like, I met Lucy. She's over there. She was she's an underground bogger. And I was like, you know what, why can't we have a community where we're all just help each other, right? So I started Chicks and Mining, right? So I started off with a logo, the first logo. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, and I still don't know what I want to do with it, but basically it started off as an Instagram, right? But I was like, you know what, I want somewhere where we can talk. So I started off with a Facebook group, but I only started off with like 3 people, my mates, right? I remember when I got 100 people, I was like, oh my God, like this is insane. So, like, yeah, we do. And then, well, progressingly now, so well, I think it's only been like 2 years now in the making, and there's now, checked this morning, like 5.3 thousand women on there.
5,000. I had a look too, yeah.
Yeah, and like at the start, people would post a few things here and there, and I felt like so obliged, like, fuck, I've got to reply, like, I've got to get on there, and I felt bad because I was so tied up at work and I wasn't replying. But now, like, someone posts on there and there is hundreds of comments, like, and it's such a good community now. Like, it's it's a private group. Women post everything from, what's FIFO like, to I have this problem, to, my manager's, like, I'm in a toxic culture, or what do I wear, like, how do I work the mess, things like that, right? So it's a very supportive group for women. It gives them a lot of, like, it makes them feel safe, but it also gives them the confidence in mining as well. Like, someone's like, hey, I'm going for this role, what does this mean? Or I'm having dramas, like, with charging, and I jump on there and I give them tips and things like that. So yeah, it's been great. And now we have like all these different logos. We have all this different merch now. I just dropped the underground crib bags, right? I only had 25 sold out in the first, insane. And it's a non-profit as well. Like, I don't make, hardly anything off of this company, but to me, it's just so important to me to give the time that I have back into this community, right? Because I didn't have that coming up the ranks. And I love the feeling of being a big sister to all these women. And some women are, there's from all ages, from 18 all the way up. Like, some lady posted on there, I'm 60, like, am I too old for mining? And everyone's like, no, girl, like, you get it. Get in there and have a crack. Like, it's been really
that's
good.
it. And that's a lot of what I do. I answer in there when I get a chance. I like to, comment and stuff, and it's so good to see. How do you moderate it? Like, so have you got admins in there? It was one of the questions that I wanted to ask you.
Well, actually, so this just proves like what a positive culture it is. Has been no fights. There has been
I haven't seen any.
Nothing inappropriate in there. There's been, so I do have admins. Like, I have so obviously myself. Then there's Chloe, one of my good friends, and Lucy. So they do stuff, but it's basically just like, because a lot of women still don't have that courage. So there's a lot of like anonymous posts and things like that, which is fine. So I just jump in and approve the people coming in. But like, it's just crazy. I put up a post the other day, I need more admins, because like every morning there's like 20.
I was going to say, and then I thought, oh, I'm not sure if that was you or another group, but yeah, it was you. Like, who wants to be an admin? Yeah. And that must be where my brain got that question from, because it can get too big and it can get too. I've seen some groups that were really good, not so much women's ones. They usually end up all right, but some of the other, mining ones. And it's something Mad Mumzie always says is, be careful what group you join, because you don't want to just go and get into one of the other ones and how do I get a job in the mines? And you will just get hammered.
I know,
but not in your group. But if you're in the right group, and I like to hope that I share what the right groups are, in my view. But some of the other ones, and then also you need to realise that the mentality that you're seeing in this group, in the comments, they're the people who are going to be on your crew. So are you ready? Are you really ready for mining? Because they're the sort of assholes you're probably going to be working with. It's a bit of an insight.
For me, another big thing was, there's a few, there's probably two, and listeners will probably know mining groups, right? And one person posting there anonymously, and they just get absolutely roasted. And that's why I was like, how is anyone going to feel confident going? It's like, even as an experienced miner, I would never ask a question in there, So I wanted to create that.
I just read.
Oh, it's awful.
Go in and have a look. Yeah.
And that's a lot of the stuff that when you read those comments, that's the sort of shit I dealt with back when I first started mining. And unfortunately, there are still some school miners, that need to just hurry up and retire because it's 2024 and women can work and women are in mining. And I have seen some women do better jobs in mining than men. So
absolutely,
yeah, it rouses.
But I've also
much.
seen some asshole women in mining as well.
Oh,
I was bullied at one site.
100%.
I left.
Yeah.
Like, I ended up going back in a different role, but that whole crew was full of young cowboys and lots of young girls, and they were all just getting pissed and rooting each other. And generally, I like to say that's what the partner at home thinks is happening. And I'm like, it's not like that. We're just mates and we all work together and, we see each other. But at that site, it was like that. And not everyone, but a lot of them. And, yeah, I just felt like the weird old one.
And
at that mine, and I'm like, and I'd left another mine where I was like I was the nana that looked up, I felt loved at that mine, and I went to this other mine to feel like that, and then a couple of other people from the good mine came there, and then they one of them said to me, "We're getting the old gang back together. Come home." And so I went back and did my last 2 years of mining at the other place, and it was so good. It was so good before I retired. But I'd always said that I'm not going through menopause on truck with you lot, right? That was always my goal. I'm going to be out before I get, because I'm getting on.
Yeah.
Anyway, it turned out I did. But I didn't know. I didn't have the hot flushes, but I had the emotions and all that, and that's why I struggled a bit at the end and then chose to get out. But I'm still so connected to mining through the podcast, through my family. Like, everyone in the family is mining related. Even my job now is very mining related. So, and you can't take the miner out of Mad Mumzie,
You can't. Yeah. But some of my favourite people in mining are, 30 years older than me. Like, some of the women I've come across, the older ones, amazing. Some of my old jumbo operators, there's obviously, I find the younger operators that they're arseholes. There's definitely some old men out there that have still got that real old school mindset. But, one of my good mates, he was a jumbo operator. I love charging for him. There would be times where we'd get into an underground over a heading that didn't come out, or I'd get up him because he's left shit all over the road and it's hard for me to charge, and then we'd have a beer after work. and it is hard. I find it, and being my age as well, it's hard because, I have girls that come into my office and they're crying because, she was sleeping with this one, and
that would be me. Oh, not about that, but crying.
And then the drama on the crew, and then they're, a big chicks and mining fan, and, sometimes I just think, pull your head in, girl, you're here to, to do your job. Or, it's hard, and sometimes, sometimes I'm having a shit day, I'm stressed out at work, and
exactly.
It's so hard for me to, and that was a big thing that my boss mentored me through. You can't be there for everyone, because I'm that person that would, the drop of the hat, I'm like, what do you need? I'm there, and that was a big learning for me in the last year, that I need to step back and prioritize my mental health, because I'm the type of person where, like, say for example, I'm doing an investigation, the person, you know, gets like sacked after. I'm like, oh my God, like I'll take you home, like I'll feed you, I'll like support you, like it's so bad.
Yeah. Aww.
And that's something I'm still learning, and I yeah, it's hard. It's a fine line I walk at work, being that my age, being such an advocate for women and listening, trying to be there for people, but also if you're an idiot or you give advice to people and they do the same thing, or yeah, and you know, I don't blame them so much. Like, you know, I've been young and on mine sites and, you know, shift change, like, you know, we've all been there and done that. But yeah, I definitely feel like I'm more of a mother now on mine sites, 28-year-old mother.
So interestingly, shift change.
No, shift change.
I just see, to me, shift change is when I'm going home. Right? Yeah. This came up when I interviewed Matt. Shift change, our shift change to me in my world is pajama day. So it's when you go from night shift to day shift. Is that your shift change?
Yeah, so it's at night. It's at night that you have free, so you can get pissed in the next morning.
Because you're not starting until night shift the next day. Right. See, to us in my culture in Queensland, in the coal, has always been that is called pajama day, and shift change is when you're going home.
Yeah, no,
it's when we're going home. So that's so different, and I never realised that until last week.
People say pajama day, but shift change is more like you go on a shift change, which is like the night that you have to get pissed and the next morning.
It is a shift change.
You're shift changing, and it's more for the workers that are doing the 2 and 2 roster or 2 and 1 roster or whatever. So they're changing from that night shift to day shift, and that's
we had even in our lifestyle roster, as they called it, they used to call it one of the mines around here, which I won't name. It was that roster, but you do like 2 days, 3 nights. So you had a shift change. You had that pajama day. You didn't know what day is it? What am I doing? You know, you didn't know routine, and then you get your 4 or 5 days off and come back and do 4 or 5. Whereas in the end, I ended up doing 7 and 7, which was my favourite.
Yeah.
So what rosters have you done? What you would have done a myriad.
Yeah, so I did. Now I'm only doing day shift only, so I do 4 days. I work Monday.
Oh, because you're a manager. Oh, management role, right? Day shift.
Monday to Thursday, and then I work from home.
Oh, so banking hours.
Work from home in my bed on Friday. But it's a lot of travel, so that's shit. My favourite roster is 8 and 6, day shift only. But as an operator, residentially 7 and 7. So at the end of that's shift change. So you live in town, but everyone went to the pub. They call that shift change. FIFO, I did what was I doing? A 2 and 2 roster. But honestly, I don't know how the hell I did it. Like, maybe that's why I don't drink now. But I used to, and it was different. So over when I was working residential, would do like 7 days. Right, and then have a week off, then go night shift. So when I went over west, I was doing, I think we did night shift, shift change, and day shift. Or we did day shift, shift change. I can't remember now. It's only 2 years ago. Oh, that's bad. Anyways, so I'd charge. It was night shift and then day shift, right? So we would work 7 nights or whatever. And that way, once we shift change and then we're doing day shift, we're back into normal routine. So on days off, it wasn't so bad. So
when you finish on nights,
you just feel like a zombie. But I don't know how I did it right. So 12-hour days, and generally a shot fire, you do 13, right? Because you're the first one down the hole to open the mine up, and you're the last one out because you're firing. So I used to do that, right, so 13-hour days, so 7 nights straight, shift change, get absolutely munted on site, and then go have that morning off, and then go day shift, right, for 7 days. And I don't know how I did it. Like I reckon I would have been 30 kilos lighter. Like, yeah, and I don't know how I did it now. Oh my God, like I see shift change happen on site and I'm just like, stay away. Or sometimes I might go down for like 1 or 2. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the one that's going out.
Yeah, it's not good for management to be at shift change.
No, I'm a retired shift change now ever since.
Oh, but you've lived it. You understand it. So when you have to do the investigation of what happened on shift change, you can relate.
Nothing good ever happens on shift change. Like
nothing ever does. People get fired, and oh my God,
so
yeah. Oh, so
much I never like went to work like drunk or anything, but I definitely went to work hungover. Definitely.
And a lot of it was for me. I found, like you say, you're still zeros, but you haven't slept.
Yeah.
You've stayed up longer. You've already done a big, long days. We did 13 and a half days, you know, out of this last band camp I was at for the longest time. And it's long days, you know, and then you stay up. You're meant to be in bed. It's 2:00 and you got to go to sleep because you're getting up and going to night shift, you know, and I was like, 3 hours sleep ain't going to cut it.
For me, more dehydration, I think, right? So I'd finish work dehydrated and go, like, when I was charging at one of the sites, we were using Antfo. So a lot of the charge up these days, they use emulsion. It's a lot easier. And that's why I definitely see, you know, the older school generations say, you know, charge up, I've got it so easy these days because of the sort of product they use. So when I was charging Antfo, when I was at one of my high-speed development sites, we were doing, say, charging like 10 to 12 cuts a day. Like, it was hard work, and it was only me and another guy. Anyway, so to charge this one heading, you'd have to use Antfo. So you'd have to load, like, I can't remember how many bags it was, but like 10, 20 kilo bags. You had to cart from the ute onto the kettle, load it into the kettle, right? And then charge, and then
What's a kettle?
So it's like where the explosives go, right? And it like pressurizes and it shoots out. There's that little beads, Antfo. It's like, I'm not going to say what it is because I'll probably get it wrong, but it's a type of explosives. It's not very used anymore. It's not it's not used for a lot of reasons. At the site I was at, they used it because it was a very cool mine. So you can only charge with it when the rock isn't as hot. Can't remember exactly, but this mine, like at my first residential site, like each level you're going down, it was like the rock was heating up like 2 degrees. So with Antfo, it can go off like with heat. So anyway, so I'd charge with this, right, and you'd be dehydrated, like you run out of your water so bad. I remember this one day, and it's so I just think back now to my younger self and just think I would have sacked you. Like, I would have sacked you. And I remember this one day.
I literally spat my beer out all over the microphone then, Georgia.
I know. I don't know if I should tell the story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. So I remember this one day I was charging and we're up to like our 10th heading. It was our last heading for the day. We had drank both of our 5-litre water bottles, like out of water. And we'd already drank one, like each, and then we're on to our second one, right? By the end of this heading, like, it was so hot in this heading. So you have the charge rig, right, which has aircon in there. So I'd jump out, charge 2 holes, run in, sit in there, charge rig, and then my offside will go out, charge 2 holes, right? We'd do that until we got to the bottom of it. And it's really important on mine to know your trigger warnings. Like, for me, when my body gets hot, and I only charge the heading, like, so I haven't been charging for 2 years, haven't been a shot fire for 2 years, right? But then probably 2 months ago, or actually maybe say end of December last year, I had to charge 3 headings and I had the same trigger warnings. And my triggers is I start getting cool, like body shivers. And that's when I know, like, I'm going down with heat stress, right? So, but this was back many years ago when I was fitter. Anyways, everything was drenched. I was drenched. I didn't even have my shirt on anymore. I had my sports bra on. And at the end of this heading, we both, like, there was so much water that was pulled up. We pulled the charge rig out and we both laid in the water because it was so hot. Laid in it. Finally got ourselves up. We were hooking up the headings then. So we put the electric deck, which makes it go bang. So you have to go back and do all the headings. By the last one, both of our cap lamps went flat. Like, it was just so bad. Like, the whole situation was bad. And I think that was really a turning point to me to see, like, how many things can go wrong in mining. And unfortunately, I have now been at site with 4 fatalities in total across site.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, and I mean, being 28, some of the things I've seen in investigations in these fatalities are just like, it's just so fucked up. And yeah, so to me, safety obviously is so important. Like, don't get me wrong, like, there's a big difference between going down and doing something because, you know, you're, I don't know, have a brain fart or you generally don't know or lack of training, and there's a difference between going down and doing something because you're a cowboy. And don't get me wrong, back in my operator's days, like, I learnt from cowboys, so I had cowboy traits, and it took a long time for me to get out of those traits. But it's insane that I would have never put anyone in an unsafe position. Like, if I was to do something unsafe, I would never expect anyone else to. But yeah, I was taught by cowboys, so it took a very long time for me to get rid of that. And that's why it's so scary now, because we're sort of, those old-time miners are, you know, dropping off, starting to retire, but you've got some really, really scary young boys out there and women that are taking shortcuts and doing the wrong thing. And unfortunately, you know, you show a green person that and they think that's the right way. So I've got some stories I want to tell. I'll tell off the podcast, but yeah, it's very important to know and always ask the questions. That's what I say to the girls. And, you know, I loved my last site being the safety advisor in training, because I was doing all the training assessments and stuff, and I made sure, like, I went down with the girls if they were in doing service crew or charging, and having these conversations with them, because I never had anyone to tell me the difference. You know, I just had old Bob telling me to run out into a stope and that was okay. So to me, it's really important to pass down what I know. And don't get me wrong, like, I go underground in hard rock mining and there's still things I learn. And that's why it really shits me when you see this attitude of these people, young people, come in and think, yeah, I've been mining 2 years, I can know everything, I'm the best because I do this the fastest and I get the most work done. And it's like, yeah, but your quality might be great. And, you know, and I'll tell you what, I won't say where, but there was a guy, right?
One band camp, this one guy, right? New thing, that's what I say all the time. This one arsehole dozer driver at this one band camp.
Well, this one young fella, right? He was good at his job, but he was a cowboy, right? And to me, that was an issue because I don't give a how good you are at your job. If you have a shit attitude, if you have a shit look of safety, but just a shit attitude, I don't trust you to train other people, right? So I went down and did an assessment on him. He was great. He did a few things that I could have failed him on, but he did do a few things anyways. And I knew he was competent at the task, but I just said, no, like, you haven't failed. And there was reasons why. And he said, why? I said, because you've got a shit attitude. You got a shit attitude to safety. You got a shit attitude towards your job. I said, when you pull your head out of your ass, come and see me and I'll have a look again. And I said, because I don't give a how long you think you've been mining for. You don't know. I said, you don't know that I've been mining nearly longer than you. When I started mining, you were in primary school or high school, whatever it is, you know. And yeah, that's just so important to me because I don't feel comfortable with them training other people, and it pisses me off because I was the same. I was 18 or 19 years old, you know, in a basket with fully grown men swearing at me, screaming at me, and it's like, yeah, it's tough mining, but you don't have to be spoken to like shit. I don't care what you say. So to me, you know, it's important. The little bit I can do to change culture, I will do. Yeah, the girls.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the girls, right? And what I love the most, thank you so much for sharing all that as gold. I was just like, shut up. You would not have been able to have gone and spoken to that cowboy like that in a way that he may take on board about, you did your job right, but your attitude shit, if you'd never been underground, you'd never actually done the job. If you were just the office jockey, he'd be like, yeah, whatever, fuck off. Go back up to the surface. Go back to the sunshine. Leave me alone. I don't care what you think. But it's so different because you have walked the walk, you know, and I've seen that with my sister. That's how she has worked in places where the men have spat in front of her when she was like 19. It was a construction thing. And she's like, well, you know, and then she figured out ways to deal with that. And they end up being her best, like, let's have a beer later, you know, because it takes time and it takes I don't even know the words. She's good at all that. Like you two, you are just like such a mini blister to me. Oh my God. I am sending her this. Hello. I'm going to tell her now. Hello, my blister. Meet your little sister.
I love it. That is so true. And that's why I'm not afraid, you know, now that I'm in a management role, like I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. And, you know, a year ago I had a guy absolutely shit talking to me, right, about me, right, never to my face. But a few of the other guys who I, you know, had earned the respect for, they were mates. They came and they told me, right. So anyways, I went down to where this guy was underground. I was doing an inspection and I was having a conversation with him, and some of the things he said were not correct. Like, you know, I'm only where I am because I slept my way to the top. Girls shouldn't be in mining. You know, the only good thing, I'm only good for one thing. Like, just disgusting, like absolutely disgusting. He knew nothing.
And it's what they say, especially when you're going through the levels, is, oh, yeah, they don't respect that until they hear what you've done and the experience you've had. Oh, yeah, all right.
Knew nothing about me, right? And some of the boys said, actually, like, she's done this. And he goes, she's not a fucking shot fire. She's not a shot fire. And they're like, she's a shot fire. Like, they were telling her, right?
She is.
Guy who,
fuck yeah.
Absolutely, like, just running me down. So you know what I did? I went underground. I brought my harness with me. I found out where they were. I knew I was about to go charging. I had no business, like, being a shot flyer anymore, right? I'm in, you know, in a safety and training position at this time. And I put my harness on and I said, I walked up to him, he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm charging this heading. You're going to sit here and you're going to watch me. And I said, you know what? You'd probably learn a thing or two. So anyways, got back down and I said, I've seen how long it's taken you to charge your heading. And I said, I just did that in half the time. I said, so next time you want to talk shit about me and what I've done, I said, come and speak to me because I'll tell you a thing or two. Anyways, all the boys, they were just like getting into him on it. And I was like, and I didn't have to do that, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to show him exactly, because just because I got a set of tits, just because I'm up in management does not mean that I cannot do what they can do underground. I've been doing it 20 times longer than him, you know? Like, I've had my shot fire's license longer than this fella's had his driver's license. So anyways, that was probably a good...
I think that's the intro. Story. I think that's the intro to the podcast right there. Right? Hey, sorry to interrupt, but did you know that Mad Mumzie has an online mining portal? This episode is proudly brought to you by mining.teachable.com, the place to go for all of Mad Mumzie's resources and support for your mining journey, no matter where you are. It's free to sign up. You just pop your email in there and away you go. I like to think of it as opening up the secret that is mining. Have you heard that saying, what's under the kimono? It's quite a famous saying. I say, what's under the high-vis shirt, at the risk of making it look like I'm flashing you. But I'm going to start saying it anyway because I don't care. I am me, and you either like me or you don't. If you don't, okay, off you go. There's plenty of others coming out doing stuff. back to mining.teachable.com. Mad Mumzie, this is meant to be an advert. Head over there for a real life, down to earth look at what mining can be like for you. So for my wannabe miners, you're just still desperate to get that mining job. How do I start? How do I get a foot in the door? I got your back. There's resources in there for you. And then you don't even know what you don't know, right? So once you get a start date, that is when it all starts to unfold. And you who were desperate for that mining job, and then you've got it, it's like, oh, holy crap, what do I do now? What happens now? I got you back there too. So head to mining.teachable.com. Heaps of resources. Go in with your eyes open. I truly believe that the more you know about mining and mining lifestyle before you begin, the more likely you are to succeed. And I keep adding more and more stuff in there. There's now a new community that Teachable have started that we can set up inside of our portal, and also a membership. But that's all very new and exciting. So if you sign up for free, get in, hit your email, have a look around, check out the library, see which parts suit you, and dive on in. But, you know, keep coming back because I'm doing more and more all the time. I am passionate about helping people know more about what it's like in mining and to be there for support once they actually get started, because that's when the fear can really kick in and you need a support network around you. So mining.teachable.com. Why do you say it like that, Mad Mumzie? Well, because when I taught myself how to podcast and how to start a website and all the things way back in 2015, 2016, they were all American, and it was every website was .com. And my kids used to take the piss out of me, and so it stuck. So head to, what is it? You know it, mining.teachable.com. I'll see you in there. Now, don't go anywhere. There's still heaps to come on this episode. Now, I also want to say that what is new and evolving in the last probably 5 years on, and it's growing, is, and there's a movement around it, and it's come out on International Women's Day and all of that, is the men that speak up against men who are putting shit on women in the mines, like on site or because domestic violence, right? They had all the campaign about sitting back and watching and letting it happen. Don't let, we got to speak up and say, hang on, mate, no, you shouldn't be talking to her like that.
Yeah.
And the same thing is happening in the mines as well. And we really need to support the guys, or no, not that we don't have to support them or thank them or anything, but to notice the blokes on our crews who are doing that. Absolutely. And who are shutting down the cowboy. Like, it's not only about women, but it's about, slow down, mate. You're not paid by the load.
Yeah.
You're paid by the hour. When it comes to moving dirt, and when it comes to respecting women, it's the same thing. And the blokes that are listening to this, we respect you and honour you and thank you for being the ones that stand up to it. And what I've said for a long time, or a long time ago, I started saying to the older fellas that I've had to deal with on crew is they go, fucking women, they're going to come in here and take over and this and that. And I'm like, all right, well, look how you're treating her. She's a newbie up on the dump. You're the asshole dozer driver. You're not giving her any help at all. She's crying at the cribber, oh, well, if the training department did their job, she'd know how to do it. I'm like, every dump, everywhere you get your load from and everything, it changes all the time. It's so different. It takes time. Be a bit patient. But the biggest thing that I ended up saying to him was, imagine if that was your daughter.
Exactly.
Or your missus.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or your mum. Or to the younger ones, I'd say, what if that was your mum? Oh, fuck that. I'd punch him out. Anyone talk to my mum like that. I'm like, right, well, you pull your head in. You're doing it to her. You know, let's have a bit of support.
I call out that behaviour, and that sort of ties back into my passion for psychological safety because, you know, when we've got people pulling up unsafe acts or, you know, just a little as chucking in a hazard card, right, I make sure that management are held accountable for that and they speak to it. And we give a praise to picking up things like that because we want crews to feel empowered to speak up, whether it's against shit behaviour like that or against shit safety underground. Because, you know, there's pressure underground. It's perceived pressure. The management might not say it, but it's perceived by the crews. And that's why it's so important to me.
Production over safety.
It's so important to me to make the crews feel empowered to speak up, and in saying that, to not to have a target on their back. And then if I say, and I've seen a mining superintendent talk shit about a hazard someone's put in. I've got no issue in our staff meeting. I've got no issue saying, like, calling that behaviour out and saying, you're a mining superintendent. It doesn't matter what the hazard card is. It doesn't matter. They are putting in hazard card. The process is there. We want people down there with their eyes open because we're not down there all the time, and you're certainly not down there all the time. So it's so important to me to really push that. And if I can rub that off onto leaders in mining, then, yeah, that's definitely – and to me, like, it's so important to have these conversations with people and encourage them to speak up. And if I can just change one person's outlook on safety or one person's outlook on talking shit about someone on site, or, you know, having conversations with girls being like, you know, hey, like, you're treating this other girl unkind, like, we should be sticking together as women on site, you know, we should be sticking together and having each other's back. And who cares if she's now got to step up and she was here, you know, shorter than what you are. Like, let your work talk. Like, don't rip down someone else because they've got another opportunity. Your opportunity will come if you're humble, if you were doing your job right, and just let it show through your work, right? So to me, if I can just change one person, then I'll leave mining happy.
And what you just said then about being humble and do your work, that's men and women. Like,
yeah.
Doesn't matter. We're all miners, right? And that was a big part of the conversation last week. Women supervisor, you know, women OCE, women, that woman's a superintendent. No, that person is your boss. Doesn't matter if they're a man or a woman. And the guy I interviewed was a jumbo operator over in the West. And he said, you know, I don't give a shit if they're a woman or this or that. Like, so long as they're doing what I need them to do, I'll say, I want them to come with me.
Exactly.
I don't care how old they are. I don't care what age, race, anything. If they are doing what I need them to do to support me as a jumbo operator with, I can't remember the words, you know, what does a jumbo helper do? What do they call?
A nipper.
Nipper, yes. If I've got a nipper, you know, and they'll go, oh, you're only taking her because she's a chick. He's like, no, because she's the best one out of all the ones you've had. Yeah, so we had a big chat about that. And that's good to hear from a bloke.
Yeah,
you know?
And I've had that conversation, you know, with people, like, you know, just because you don't think I should deserve to where I am, like, regardless of that, I am a supervisor.
I am.
You're a supervisor, and you will respect my position. And if you have an issue with that, like, I'm happy to take it further. Because to me, I work so hard. I'm not going to justify to everyone. Like, I don't go into mining, and I like, if I have a conversation with people, yeah, I will. If I know they're genuinely interested, I will tell them what I've done. But I don't have to justify anything to anyone, and that's something that I've learned got moving forward. And the biggest thing I think is, you know, you never know who one day is going to be your boss. Literally, and you never know. But in saying that, you never know what someone's going through. You know, people have lives outside.
Exactly.
Right? You never know what someone's going through. And don't get me wrong, I've had heated conversations underground with jumbo operators, like, or even people like, you know, I've called old mate, you know, you're not doing this properly, and I've walked away feeling like a piece of shit. And 9 times out of 10, generally I'll go back and I'll apologise and say, like, I'm sorry, like, that was heated or whatever. This is back in my operator days. And that's why I'm very cautious how I speak to people now. And it was a big thing I needed to learn, not to just go so cutthroat on people. And not that you can as
lucky you had a good mentor for that then. Yeah. That's right.
You never know. And like I was so close to giving up mining because not only did I have these people talking so much shit about me, never to my face, but, you know, behind my back and whatever. But at the end of the day, I was going through one of the hardest breakups I've ever been through, right? I was heartbroken. I was gutted. I'd cry at work. I'd cry at home. I'd cry at crib. And I was gutted. And I had that as well. Like, my mental health was so drained. And maybe that's why I have such tough skin, but it shouldn't be like that, you know? Shouldn't be like that. And it's not tolerated. And that's why it's so important to me to, like, be with companies that have good cultures, have good managers that care. And I was so lucky to have those 3 people that wanted the best for me and saw potential in me. And now in the position that I am and moving forward, like, I'm going to make sure I'm that leader, you know, that believes in people, that mentors, that coaches, that really cares. Because, if people got shit going on and it's not nice, you know.
Yeah.
Not nice. That's a good thing with Chicks and Mining as well. Like, you know, I have so many people that reach out to me and ask for advice, and we talk about some really personal thing that's going on in their lives. And it's important to me, both at work and in the Chicks and Mining space, to, you know, to give them time, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's an hour conversation, to, talk to them and make them feel heard. You know what I mean? Like, I've turned into a very soft soul back from when I was
I love it.
fire and going off my head about explosives on the ground, and now I'm just so cool, calm and collected most of the days. Definitely on my bad days, but
well, don't we all, you know? Like, that's being human.
Yeah.
Well, we might think about wrapping up. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's been a really good chat. It's come so naturally, hasn't it?
It has, and I love that. And they just end up like that. Like, we got nearly 2 hours now, but we're not done yet. I've got a couple of other things I just want to ask you. Quick, couple of light-hearted, after all that deep and meaningful bloody shit about cowboys and assholes and all of that. Right. Do you have any sleeping tips for night shift?
For night shift, I always found it help. I never had any sleeping issues, right? I used to go to sleep, like, so I would, a night shift, right? I would start work at 6. I have to be there at 5, and I'd finish at maybe 8. I'd be getting into bed in the morning because the shop fire has those additional tasks. I will sleep the whole way, 10 hours. Like, I got no issues. But the days that you do have issues, like, I find it, you know, in the morning, like, some people go for a beer, right? But I have found I'll go to the gym, go for a little walk, and just wind down, like, little things like, you know, not sitting on your phone because that's proven to keep you up. Make sure you have earplugs with you because some of the camps are pretty, how you going, and the air cons are pretty loud, or even just people walking around. But I never really had any issues, but that would be my tips.
Yep, thank you. Now, what do you do with your old PPE? Hard hats and your shirts, pants, because you've been in a lot of different places, so you can end up with heaps. And then when you get the yearly issue and all of that, you know, what do you do?
Oh, well, now I'm more decked out with Chicks and Mining merch. I don't need it as much, but I think I've kept one shirt from my first site, and then I have my hard hat. When I was a shop fire, I took it everywhere with me because we at the site were allowed to have stickers. A lot of sites don't let you have stickers, but I don't know, it just sort of becomes really sentimental, things like that. So I think I've kept a hard hat. But all my other stuff, like work shirts and stuff, both my brothers are builders, so I've just, you know, and my stepdad does a lot of stuff around the house, so I've just really given it out. or give it.
Oh, right. So they're just walking around with Georgia.
Yeah,
on there.
I think I donated a lot of my stuff, like back to mine or back to Vinny's or whatever. But yeah, I haven't really stockpiled a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've got a few really good like corporate jackets that I keep.
Jackets, like you can't get rid of your jackets.
Jackets.
Too. I've got some good. I don't have corporate jackets.
Staff jackets.
I've got operated jackets, but they're really good in the cyclone and shit. And I'm like, here you go, you can have one too because I've got 5.
The best thing about cruise merch is when they do like social club shirts and stuff. So we at one site, when I was a shop fighter, we broke the record for the most meters in the year or ever. So we got a shirt for that. That was really cool. I've kept that.
Yeah.
And then a few like crew shirts that like Dirty Hole Designs have done for the crew. We've kept them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fundraising ones as well. We did a few fundraising ones, got pink like fishing shirts with dump trucks and dozer and dragline on and that. We all paid $60 and half of it went to mental health. You could get the pink or the blue. So one went to Beyond Blue and the pink went to breast cancer, I think, on our crew. Well, I bought them for my kids as well and stuff.
Yeah.
That was good. Now, let's talk about steel cap boots. Have you had any events around yours? Like, have you ever left them at home? How do you go getting through airports if you have to wear them? Have you had any critters in them? And what about, have you got blisters or anything shit? Anything shit about your boots?
Oh, man. Well, in my operator days of gumboots, man, like once they get wet,
You wear the big boots.
yeah, they're wet all day, all shift, and then, you know, even if you get them wet at the end of shift, and we'd charge them water that was up to my waist, so you'd be tipping water out of these gumboots, and they don't dry quick, so they dry like 2 days later.
Say that again. Water up to your waist was a good charge?
That was a good charge, yeah.
Did you say?
Yeah, there's a lot of shit conditions, and
that's fast. I know you do it. That's why they're called real miners. Right?
So I'd have 2 boots where I'd swap, but it was good because when I was at this site, one of my sites, there was no other female. No, this happened sad it was. There's no other female service crew and there's no other female charge up. So the fuck boots were always mine, so everyone knew that they were my boots, and all the truckies, they were all nice and clean and dry. So I'd rotate them, but with my like staff boots, like just the normal like steel cap boots, I haven't really had any issues. I haven't left them. I've always kept them on site, so just in an office I'll just fly in and wear like my Vans or something, or my Birks and socks. I rock the Birks and socks. I'll wear that, chuck my boots on.
That's a go.
Though I will say recently I went to Mackay, and because I fly from Townsville, because I just bought a home in Townsville, my first house, and then I fly to Mackay, and then I drive from Mackay to site at the moment. So I left my boots, my good boots, at my sister's house, and my nephew hid one of them, so I couldn't find them in the morning. So I got.
How old is the nephew?
1.
Not the 1-year-old.
1-year-old.
Oh, the 1-year-old hid your boots.
Got to site, realised I didn't have any. Had to wear friggin' gum boots to all my staff meetings, like an absolute tosser. And then I still can't find this other fucking boot. So I've had to buy other boots, and they've given me the worst blisters. So I need to go next weekend and get some new boots. But yes, Henry, if you're listening to this, where is my boot?
When you're 20, here we go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was 1.
I don't know what he's done with it.
Oh, my God. Oh, we're going to have to catch up. You're that close. You're pretty much flying over my house. So we will. We'll talk about that after. We'll make that happen. Yeah. Nearly last thing. 3 things. How long were you planning when you first started in mining? How long were you planning to do it? Were you thinking I'll do it for 3 to 5 years, pay off the house, buy a house, and I'm out? Or you just thought this is my mining life?
Good question. I had two mindsets. My first one was because my pop had Wilson Drilling in Cobar, so he had a mining company. My dad and my mum, when they were together, they had a mining company, and then I popped out as a miner. So half of me wanted to go the miles, and I thought, yeah, this is going to be me. I'm going to be a full-time miner. But the other half of me, when I was with my partner at the time, I was like, few years, wait till because I was 18, right? So wait till I get a few years behind me, then I'll be having kids and I'll be, on that maternity leave and I'll be just a stay-at-home mum. But then that didn't work out. So, yeah, then I just really focused on, full-time being a miner. But with the qualifications I have as well, in that safety qualification, I could always go to like a council or construction or something like that. So I've got a few options.
That's right. It doesn't have to be mining. So it can be residential anything.
Yeah.
I do get around to having a kid, yeah. But make sure it's not like your 1-year-old nephew steals shit.
Yeah.
Moves your boots. Oh, my God. So many stories about leaving boots. Do you have anything to say about money and being a rich miner?
Well, to be honest, everyone's always like in hard rock mining, right? So I've seen a few, so coal mining, I know the mining structure's different, but in hard rock mining, everyone's like, oh, so much money. You don't really see that high paying role until you hit your shot fire and above, right? So the other jobs like truck driving, service crew, nipper, like they're not that great pay. But
it's still better than working at a pub.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a real job in town.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
For sure. But like, I feel very blessed. Like I'm 28. I've just purchased my first home. I'm very financially well off. But then again, I've worked really hard for it. But my biggest thing would be
exactly you've worked hard.
Would be smart with your money. Like if you're on great money and mining, like really start to save and look for a future. Because being a miner as an operator, it's not great on the body. Like your rhythmic heartbeat can be really up from going day shift, night shift. Like it's really stressful on the body, and then just the physical aspect of it, you don't want to be. And I'll tell you what, I've seen some really old miners that are, they walk around with a limp and they don't look like they're in great condition. You've also gotten coal, like the black lung disease, things like that. So, be financially smart about your money so you do have an exit plan and you're not going to be mining when you're, 80 years old. And you can, live a good life.
And that's it, like also there can be a downturn at any time.
Absolutely.
And I've lived through a downturn in my mining career, and I stayed where I was because we had good coal and the world still wanted our coal. Other people who had left, they ended up losing their job and all that, people selling all their toys. But when everyone in one town is selling their toys, there's only so many people who are going to buy the jet ski or the SS or the this or the that, So it's always good to have in the back of your mind that anything can happen. Like you say, your body could give up. You could something could happen to you. The mine could shut down.
Mm-hmm.
You might have a really big fuck up and no one's going to hire you, because you had a brain fart at one point. Like anything can happen where that money is now going to stop and you're going to have to go to town and have a real job.
Yeah,
and get your $8,000-9,000 a week, and you've been on a lot more than that. So it's important to use that time when you've got that money there. Use it wisely,
Yeah, and like my hometown growing up, like I think I remember hearing like twice there was big redundancies and people, you get a redundancy, you get paid out, but if you've got debts, like you got a mortgage, you got car repayments, things like that, and even gunpowder near Cloncurry, like that, they've just gone under as well. Like heaps of people just lost their jobs because the mine's flooded. Like there's other things that,
Yeah.
you know, companies can't control. And as sad as it is, you know, you're just a number. And unfortunately, the company's going to do what's best for them. If that means letting people go, you know, and like you said, you know, you could have a fuck up and get stood down and then get sacked. And if you're living from paycheck to paycheck, like, you know, it's not great. And
And if you're a contractor.
yeah, mining's a very small world. Like, I have never been to a mine where I haven't known someone from somewhere else, and it is very,
Yeah, me too.
very. So, like, if the other day, like, I called,
Family.
yeah, my old mine manager, and I said, hey, like, you know, do you have connections here? And he's like, yep, no worries. Like, I'll make some calls. Like, mining's very small, and that's why it's important to me to make sure, you know, you have a good name and you're a good person and in it for the right reasons.
Oh, that's gold. Right, boom, drop the mic. All right, last question, Georgia, is finally, what is your special place when life turns to shit? How do you personally handle tough times? What are your strategies to hang in there? So I guess what's your happy place?
It's a good question. Because I'm so independent. You know, I wouldn't say I have a happy place, but I definitely have happy people and people that feel like home. And it's important to me to be that person as well to my friends and family. So if shit hits the fan, I'm on the phone to my mum and I'm talking shit and I'm telling her what happened and I'm having a cry and she's telling me stuff and she doesn't understand mining as much, but she's supports me no matter what, even if I'm in the wrong. And a big one for me in the last, you know, year is my nephew as well. So FaceTiming my sister and seeing his face, you know, he can't say Auntie Georgia yet, which I'm not happy about, but
What? He's won already, isn't
know,
he? Like going to school and shit.
once he,
At least finding your boot.
yeah, once he says Auntie Georgia, I think that will just be it. But yeah, for me, it's definitely leaning on my friends and my family. Like Tara, and I met her at a mine site, right? Friendships in mining is real. Like I have some really,
Fuck yeah.
my strongest friends have come from mining, and Taryn, who will listen to this, I met her on site. She's a site admin.
Hello, Taryn.
She's been my absolute rock. She's my go-to. She's my therapist. She's my best friend, my sister, my boyfriend. She's fucking everything. She's got a boyfriend.
We all need one of those.
On the third wheel, but yeah, she's definitely someone I cherish, and I think that's really amazing thing about mining is you meet some really good people. And you know, some of my closest friends are people that are like, you know, 50 years older than me, and I love it. And I just think, you know, when as an operator coming up, like lean on the older operators that are nice, you know, the ones that care. Because yeah, some of my biggest supporters have been, you know, older figures. Like I was a contractor like my last site, we were a development contractor, and the mine manager, like I've made great mates with him, and he saw potential in me, and he's been really great for me. Like and I'm like, oh my god, a mine manager is now one of my references on my resume. Like how unreal is that?
You.
So yeah,
That's
it's really important to I just think mining friends. But yeah, that's definitely my go-to. And I have mentee bees all the time. So yeah.
You have what?
Mental break.
What do you have?
Mental breakdowns.
Mental breakdowns.
Chicks in mining.
Oh, no, I thought it was a good thing. I thought it was like a mental. No, I thought it was like lollies or something. No.
No, chicks in mining as well has been great. Like, you know, it's been great to bounce ideas and stuff like that, and you know, having that anonymous filter as well for women who feel a little bit worried, because now it's getting so big. You know, there's people that know people from there, so I'm seeing a lot of anonymous posts lately, but it's just such a great space for me. It's a great way for me to give back to the
I love it. And what is the best place for people to get? Are you pointing at?
No, I was gonna say Aladdin, but you're fine. I was gonna say,
Is there a
get on Chicks and Mining.
I know that's where we're going. I thought there was a ghost behind me or something. The way she's pointing at me, like I'm like, what the fuck? What can you see that I can't see? Yes, get on Chicks on Mining for sure. Now, what is the best place? How do we find you to get your merch and best place to connect with you?
So the best way to connect to me is on Facebook to Chicks and Mining. So I have a page. You just have to request. There's a few questions there. I don't know what the questions are, but there you'll find me there. You can reach out to me. We also have an Instagram, and then both link our websites. I think it's just www.chicksandmining.com.au, and you'll find all of our merch. We've got hoodies, t-shirts, a jersey, which is what I'm wearing now, which I'm sure there'll be a screenshot. We've just dropped a crib bag. We have hair protectors, but we're all sold out at the moment. But yeah, you know.
Oh, the hair protectors. That's how you started, wasn't it?
That is how I started, yeah.
That is what we were talking about originally back in the day. So how long ago was that? That's how long we've been talking, and then we were going to hook up about your hair protectors, and look how far it's come.
Let me just see on our Facebook.
My God.
October 2022.
Oh, what is it? April 2024.
Wow.
Now.
Yeah, I would have been overwhelmed.
Is that in our message thread?
Yeah.
Is that when we...
October, yeah.
And was...
Because remember...
See, I'm such a procrastinator.
There was an Underground Miners page, and then I brought my page on. Yeah, I think that's how we connected. I've connected with so many people.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many, like, mining things, like the FIFO project, like MR. There's heaps of stuff going on in space. I love it.
That's right. But I still like to say, and that's what Matt from last week was saying, I'm still Australia's first mining podcast since 2016.
Really?
You can't take that away from me. You know, and I love that there's so many other people doing, you know, a few podcasts have come and now they're gone and that, but I'm still here randomly whenever. Pardon?
Does Matt have a podcast?
Yes, he did have Life of Mine. I've got it. He's been on my podcast and I've been on his. Jumbo Operator, Matt Michael. And then now he's got Money of Mine podcast. And he just came on last week again on mine. So it's second time. He's WA-based he's got out of mining now and he's full-time in his podcasting and all his things. And yes, and they said they started a new app as well for recruitment. So that's what he come on the podcast all about. Yeah.
Was Life of Mining not going anymore?
No. Oh. So you got to listen to my last episode, which isn't out yet as we speak. You'll hear why he stopped Life of Mine podcast. Yeah. So I've been on his podcast. He's been on mine. And I've been on the other one was Finny Pete. Yes, he's from your way, I believe. I've been on his podcast. He's been on mine. And he's stopped as well. And there's a couple others. But I just love that, like, it's not a competition. We're all helping each other and supporting each other. And I end up, like, if when you get a podcast, well, I'll come on your podcast, right? I'll just invite myself along.
I just thought, fuck, how am I going to find the time? And I'm not computer savvy, like, I'm not. I am so bad on the computer. So I'm like, how the hell am I going to do a podcast?
Well, I will say, when it comes to podcasting, this is the easy bit.
Yeah, right.
The rest of it is the time consuming, the editing, the make the graphics, do the things, put it out, you know, and it gets a bit. But I do love it, and I'm trying to be more regular. But like now, this is a 2-hour podcast, and I'm still editing. I've finished editing the last one with Matt, which is 2 hours. So it's 2 hours every time you're going to go through and edit the podcast, and then I send it to him for his final approval. There's just one thing I've got to take out, a few seconds of some shit rabbit hole that we went down that we chose not to share.
Yeah.
Which is why, if you want, I can share this with you. So in closing, Georgia, do you have anything you're super excited about right now that you want to share with us?
Ooh. Probably
any secrets out the bag.
Probably definitely some exciting stuff coming to Chicks and Mining. Do you want like details?
Oh, if you're going to give me details, fuck yeah. I might need to get another beer though. No, I'm only joking. Yeah, details, do tell.
Yeah.
You heard it first here on
Yeah, you heard it first.
Beers with the Miner podcast.
So we've got a few new products coming. We've got a really cool new logo coming. Just dropped our new crib bag, but we're getting more into like more merch that people need like on site. So we're getting into like the cap lamp space, the big PVC like travel bags. And there's a few other things I can't really say yet, but keep your eye out on Chicks and Mining.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you very much. And yes. Is there anything else you would like to say to call this episode complete for you?
I would definitely just say if you are a woman in the mining space and you are struggling, get on Chicks and Mining. It's a great community, but my advice to you is keep going through the tough times. It gets better, whether that's moving crews or even moving, projects or sites, but mining is a really great space to be in. You learn amazing skills, you meet amazing people. You just have to make sure you're in the right place, but definitely keep on going. Yeah, the girls, we're fucking miners too.
Love it. Oh, it's time to say goodbye now. We could chat all day, and I have been known to, and we are just ticked over 2 hours and 11 minutes. We'll see how long it ends up cutting down to. All the links we discussed in this episode are at madmumzie.com/beers95. Getting close to the 100. Oh, my God. All right. Love you. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Stay safe. Be real. Thank you, Georgia.
Thank you.
Stay safe, be real, be special, and have fun, for we only live once. Cheers. Well, there you go. What did you think of that chat? I told you we were going long, but hopefully you, like me, think that it was worth it to have a listen to Georgia. What an amazing, amazing, amazing woman, right? Give me a high five on that. She's just freaking awesome. And the support that she gives to her Chicks in Mining community is fantastic. And to get your merch, make sure you head to madmumzie.com/beers95 for all the show notes. Or if you're listening on your app, have a look in the show notes. The link should be there for all of Georgia's stuff. So you can go and get what you need in your mining journey. Thank you to Bantax Accounting for once again being my amazing sponsor for the episode. They've been with me since 2018. I think I've got my first sponsor. I started in 2016, but Julia has been on board for all this time, and I really appreciate her because I don't just let anyone on, right? I only let someone who wants to sponsor the podcast be someone that is going to help you in your mining journey. And she is amazing, has accountants all around Australia, and it's BANTACS, remember? And tell them Mad Mumzie sent you. Woohoo! Also, thank you to mining.teachable.com, which is, of course, Mad Mumzie's amazing portal. Everyone needs a portal, right? Head there. It's free to sign up. Just put your email in, bang, you're away. And there's all sorts of resources on there for you, no matter where you are in mining, maybe you haven't started yet, which I call my wannabes, or you've just started, holy crap, what do you do now? That's when fear really start kicking in. Don't worry, I got your back. That's why I do what I do, because I know how tough it can get once you actually get started. There's heaps of stuff on there. And a community that they've just started, and I've got a membership as well, but that's all very new and fresh and exciting. So once you're in, have a look. Like, it's free to sign up. I'm doing the ad again, right? It's shut up, Mad Mumzie. We want to go. It's free to sign up. Go to mining.teachable.com and check it out and just go through and see what fits you. It's like a library rather than one book or one course. It's a library for you to choose from. Oh, I like that. I'm going to keep using that. All right, I'm going to go. Love you, see you, bye. And remember, stay safe, be real, be special, and have some fun. For we only live once. Cheers.